What's up, guys? Hey, Rims. Hope you had an epic weekend. Uh, it was alright. Ugh. I spent most of it downloading documents for taxes for the end of quarter. But I guess the rest of it was okay. No, your hat didn't get lost in the mail. It's in my closet, where it's safe. I stubbed my port. On what? Okay. The zoo's about to open up, and I'll need to wear a hat to keep the sun out of my eyes. Perfect place to market financial data subscriptions. See, that's very reasonable, but you guys allowed the executive branch to manage hat deliveries. This really should have been a dork job. Because unlike dork, I don't feel social pressure. And if you'd like one time just been like, dork, where's my hat? He would have panicked, ran out of his house, and shipped all of them. Or you could have just told him you're really not proud of his inability to ship you a hat. That might just get you a free hat. Dirk's already managing the work stuff I have to do for him. I couldn't handle him managing my hat stuff also. Yeah, I saw the BTC short. Probably a hedge. I'm not gonna have a civil war. We're all too fat and lazy. I was kind of thinking the same thing. It's probably fucking Sailor trying to hedge MSTR. Or his new ETF. I'm pretty proud of Dork's bread progress. You know, it wasn't. I didn't see the finished product, but it looked like he was doing the right things. I'm 1,000% not fighting in a civil war. Now we need you behind the front lines, Gen Gen. There's gonna be a lot of information that's gonna need categorized and stored. And you'll have a lot of free time because they're trying to defund libraries now too. What do you think of Unusual Whale's new market maker exposure tool? Probably sucks like the rest of their tools. But I haven't checked it out. Are we allowed to wear Tim's while on the front line. You don't even own Tim's. Your entire online persona is a ruse. It has Vanna, Charm, Gamma, but they don't show Delta Flip and Gamma Flip. It seems kind of useless. Thinking bull put ladder for Tesla 15 wide from spot. And Dash is just funky looking on GS. And I want to get your take on it. Looks bearish. Tesla and Dash. You think you can just request more than one ticker? Oh, all right, fine. Start with Tesla. Tesla actually looks kind of okay. Possibly a bullish bounce here. Oh. Tricky. Not a lot of upside room on it. Some just actually insane out of the money bets. These people are fucking delusional. Hmm. All right. Short dated bets on the upside for Tesla. Closed at 249.98. Needs to get above 250. Should probably take a look at the technicals also. Yeah, 250 is pretty important here. Did it move up at all in after hours? No, actually fell back a little. Up 3% on the day. 61.66. It's the start of the gap. Okay. Bum, 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 bum. Ooh, I'm gonna do hot pink today. Mm. Carl's MIA, but Tesla's always a pick, isn't it? Yeah, what was the other one? Dash? You guys wanted to look at? Hmm. Ooh. DoorDash is added to the S&P, along with Williams Sonoma, Expand Energy, and TKO. I don't like playing S&P editions, personally. They tend to be bullish, but not always. And I hate DoorDash as an actual company. Uh, hmm. Some of these S&P editions in the for this quarter are a bit weird. Like they don't have 4 quarters of prior profitability on earnings, which is really fucking strange. It's funny the companies you hate the most you do business with. I just think they don't have a very good business model. Which is hilarious considering how much you spend on Dash. It's true. I don't know. It's a pretty clean split between like DoorDash and Uber Eats, and a lot of restaurants in New York are just moving back to having their own delivery drivers. Especially like the nicer restaurants around me are just switching to their own delivery service that they operate themselves because they don't have to overcharge customers, which means that they don't lose any of their customer base and they ensure that the food's delivered within their standards. Like I know one of the guys I was talking to is switching over because a lot of the times like the DoorDash drivers will have multiple orders and then their food gets like delivered late and it's shitty by the time it gets to the customer, and so they get complaints and they lose business. Yeah, they don't make a they have very slim margins. Why are aerospace companies not hiring like crazy? I survived a round of layoffs. However, we have a Republican president. Where's our aerospace blank check? He's getting rid of you guys. Wait, is 5635 back? Well, there's a 5635 strike for the Monday expiration. It wasn't the Bears were exploiting that missing strike. It's that the MMs were. There's like no better place to close than a strike that doesn't exist. The fucking MM will kill it on everything. All the bulls buying the 40 call, and then all the bulls selling the 30 put, or the Bears buying the 30 put. Everyone gets fucked. Kenny walks home with a blank check. Is the delivery service free? Some of them are. Some of them are like $5. Do you think it would have went up more Friday if that strike was there? Probably. Yeah. I do use the Costco gift cards because you get $100 of DoorDash for $80. It's amazing. It takes off like the entirety of the upcharge that restaurants charge you for using DoorDash. Usually they add like 10 to 20% margin, and so if you're saving 20%, it's just like sometimes you actually buy the shit for cheaper. What's up? All right, so yeah, we'll take a look at DoorDash. Ew. That's in a weird fucking spot. What did it go up to? 188 in after hours? Mm, looks like it's got room to move up to like 210, 212.50. Chain's starting to split a little bit. Yeah, so gamma max on this isn't correct. This is like one of the blown out ones. Okay, interesting. We actually have a fix coming for that, and hopefully the next couple of weeks we're rolling out a new version that doesn't get weird when the chains start to split. Um, Small moves in IV30. IV10 has been coming down though. Probably, yeah, probably room for it to keep moving out. Most of the resistance is kind of in the rearview mirror here. Let's see what it would look like into this weekend's expiry. Yeah, I would say we could push out to like 195 or 200 pretty easily. There's a tiny bit of resistance at 85, but if it holds 88, it seems pretty easy for it to keep moving up. What's next? Zom? I have a butterfly on it. Anticipate that it could push up to 15, but I think it'll drop back from there. There's also been some technical resistance around 12. I mean, Zom should just trade between 10 and 15 for the most part here. There's been some local resistance at 12. Decent amount of accumulation at like 106. 10's a pretty solid support. So I would say it's probably in a pretty good spot. Positive gamma. It's probably not going to move out much higher than 15. I'm assuming that your butterfly is at the 12 strike. Sold strike is 10? Okay. How wide? Are you like 10, 15, 5? Or is it narrower? Careful with that. Remember that you can get early assignment on um, on like in the money sold calls or sold puts, because it's not a cash, it's not cash settled, like it's not a European option. About 115, 106. Okay. Is it a call butterfly? Broken wing, hedged off downside. Okay. Yes. Okay, so you have to be careful. Be careful you don't get early assignment because it could fuck you up. I don't think they have any dividends or earnings coming up anytime soon though. But yeah, your in the money calls could still get assigned. I think the next earnings date is out in like April. So just remember that's usually something you need to, when you sell butterflies on just regular equities, you usually need to close them early, like before 7 DTE. Which, with a butterfly can really hurt the profitability potential. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, it popped back over support at 110. I think me and Nuke were like discussing selling condors on this not that long ago, like the 110, 115 condors, which, despite the downturn in the market, actually would have turned out just fine, it seems. There's a little bit of a spike in 10-day IV, which could be slightly bullish, but there's not a lot of room for it to move above 115. Like 118 maybe at its like at like peak, but I would say you're probably in a pretty good spot. Even as you go further out on the chain, there's not too much upside interest. There's a little bit that came in at the 120 strike, but most of it's further dated. So, yeah, I would say it looks probably pretty stable here. Just watch oil. I don't really think a shutdown was a big part of what was being priced into the market, to be honest. I don't think there was any expectation there was going to be a shutdown. No commentary from like Fitch or Standard and Poor or anyone. So yeah, I don't think we're at a point where there was any serious concern about a shutdown. There usually isn't. I mean, generally speaking, like no one gives a shit if the U.S. government's about to shut down again. It's like pretty much an ongoing thing, and in a very bipartisan fashion. We almost never see an agreement not pass. All right, what's next? Any more tickers? What the fuck, guys? Fuck you. Really? Beyond? And Fubo? Beyond's on Reg Show, so its last fucking stint on Reg Show didn't lead to anything. It was good while it lasted. I don't know why the fuck you guys are still playing that pile of shit. Just hoping. It looks like crap. Sold puts at 3, 4. If it runs, maybe back to 5. Poopy, I'm only giving you're the first one you asked for. You shouldn't need anything because you shouldn't own any beyond. There's been no valid reason to trade it for like almost a year. Ugh. God, it looks bad. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Earnings is coming up in May. Oh, they just had earnings and they were terrible. 45% miss on EPS. Yeah, this is complete dog shit unless it gets back above like $7. And right now, I'll be honest, I don't think it's getting back above like 4. There's plenty of sold calls here. I don't see any reason for it to go higher. I guess some of them are falling off. Some of the sold puts are a little further dated. Slight uptick in realized vol. I mean, I don't like the upside potential. Like, it just may not move very much, but there's a little bit of covering. I'm not gonna write that up. That's not worth it. UEC. What's your obsession with this pile of shit? I don't really know if we're getting a low on uranium. I'm just gonna pick the next stock that I'm even remotely interested in. Let's see. I think you guys all spend a lot of your time looking at some just dog shit equities. Fubo? Only for you, Atomic. Oh look, it's in the same position it's been in for 3 months. It could push up, I guess. Fell back to 3 finally. Falling back to 2 doesn't seem very likely. There's still room for it to move up to 5. IV's pretty close to the lows. Ugh, go away. Stupid realized vol. Average. Yeah, I mean, this is probably a decent opportunity to get like synthetic longs on it. Given where IV is relative to the like historic average. It's probably pretty unlikely that IV is going to fall much more. And there's plenty of gamma to the upside, so it seems fine. Picking up a little bit of delta last couple of days. Last day. Not enough of the short calls have closed up yet, but they're probably starting to. TQQQ. Why not just QQQ? QQQ tested TQQQ tested DN on Friday and failed to break to the upside of it. Looks like Delta's kind of falling off, but Gamma's picking up, so nearer dated bullish positioning coming in. But to be honest, it looks like bulls have been kind of trying to pile in for the last 3 weeks without much success. The dip buyers have gotten burned quite a lot here. There's plenty of upside gamma, though. Um, at least out to like 64, and then uh, not from like 64 out to 70. There's not a lot of delta picked up on it, but I feel like just looking at QQQ would be a lot better here. It's a decent amount of data this week. It's not a lot. Most of it's like housing data and shit. There's the Fed decision this week. So I think probably better for us just to look at QQQ, given that, the actual interest on the chain on TQQQ is irrelevant. Let's go to 321. It's a decent amount of upside delta every like 5 strikes on QQQ to the upside. Uh, Gamma starts to pick up a little bit into the OPEX expiration. Volatility is sky high on this right now, both on the IV10 and IV30. So, I mean, it's still kind of dangerous for short vol to move in. What in the actual fuck is that? Ugh. Um, yeah, that's probably just Dork's fault. Delta neutral's at 501, so that would be mean reversion at a minimum. But no real uptick in like bot options positioning here. Skew adjusted delta is still very, very negative. Gamma's kind of picking up, so possibly some short dated positioning. This is probably true for all the indexes, by the way, but Bulish, whatever. Crowd. Crowd's probably interesting. Crowd's starting to look a little bit better. Gamma's almost, actually, Gamma flipped just a little bit positive on Friday. Yeah, not very much, but a little. Ooh, I like this. Over 355 out to 70, 80, or 400. It's a pretty nice setup. I don't like that Gamma moved up on the expiration, so that means probably have to wait through Monday to see what's going on here. Yeah, and IV fell pretty hard Friday. Actually, it kind of fell pretty hard into the end of the week. Hmm. Eh. Mm, huh. That's tricky. Ah, there's like no upside delta. It's got to get above. It's got to get above like 355 and then 65. So there's two confirms to the upside. 380 to 400. Upstart. Hmm. Uh, I don't like this. Credit spreads are widening, so financial conditions should be getting tighter. That's, I mean, long term, like a negative for Upstart. It's got a little bit of bounce potential on the Delta side, but Gamma, it doesn't look like bulls are coming in a lot to try to move this. Short dated puts at 50. Options on it are really cheap right now. Really, really cheap on it. Hmm. Hmm. Short dated options aren't, but they're getting cheaper. Dun, 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 dun. ETI. Ooh. Uh, damn. That picked up a lot of. That picked up quite a lot of delta. Ivy's still relatively low. This looks pretty bullish. Still, which is kind of crazy. Not like a ton of notional range, but percentage-wise, could be a big move. 1250 is going to be hard to push over. Elf? Uh, uh, okay. Hmm. Yeah, so that one looks like it could kind of break out, but then fail really fast. I think people will just sell calls on it. What's next? Are we just gonna call out stocks from G-Scan? Probably. CHD. Um, let me see if we go Upstart. Someone next. Oh, oh. Talk oil? I mean, I don't know. 65 is usually a pretty decent low, but the geopolitical risk right now is super high. Right, not only with OPEC's, but there's still a lot of questions surrounding whether or not we're going to use the cheaper oil prices to refill the strategic reserve, which the Trump admin's been talking about a lot lately. And then, I mean, obviously, everything going on with Russia is still like gonna. I know that Russian crude is dog shit, but it'll still impact like it'll still impact crude prices if there's a ceasefire put into place, and probably not positively. If I were purely playing the technicals on oil, I would say that these prices aren't bad to long at, but I think I'll just stick with my prior oil trade, which is buy it if it goes over 70. That's worked out for me really well. Also, we're I don't think we're very clear on whether we're facing down a recession or not, and if we are, oil's gonna go to like $50 a barrel, if not lower. The moon landing event is behind us now. Interested if this will drop back to $5. Oh, Lunr. It's gonna be more like utility exposed. Like it tends to move with like more infrastructure and like utilities. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're gonna see a lot out of it. I mean, I guess it'll depend on like spending and stuff, but that one was kind of interesting. I could look. I think we have options data on it. We do. God damn it. Um, DM's coming down, but no options picking up on the chain. There might be like a little bounce due to like some short dated positioning here, but the change in delta looks bearish as fuck. I mean, like everyone's just taking profits on this. There's a ton of upside gamma, although I think it's all like sold calls. Yeah. Delta to the upside, not so great. So maybe I could get like a quick bounce back to 10 on some of the shorter dated positioning. But I don't know if that would last. IV30 is still falling pretty quickly. Says IV10. I mean, this is the first time options have been really reasonably priced since like back in shit, like Jan, mid Jan. So it's been a couple months. Maybe. Yeah, maybe like a small bounce. Gamma Max moved up on Friday, which is kind of a good sign. It might be that some of these short calls are getting ready to capitulate, they seem to be pretty short dated, right? I mean, like the $8 calls expiring end of week next week. The $9 calls are mostly expiring on the OPEX. 10's a little bit more of a heavy resistance. Some of that's further dated. So I would say, yeah, I would say like short term, there's like a chance for a small. I'll write it up. You? Like, didn't you announce like a share offering right after their earnings or something? If I remember correctly, we were long their last earnings, right? That was the that was when it ran to like 27.30. Yeah. Yeah, this is probably starting to get back to a more reasonable place. Um, there was some insider selling. Yeah, they did a little bit of a convertible thing for they did like 500 million convertible senior notes for 2030, which was one of the reasons it fell post earnings. Um, I would say there's probably a little bit more downside left on it. We could take a look at the chain. Let's see. Some support at 20. It's not huge or anything, but there is some support there. 2150, the upside could mark a reversal. So maybe just support on delta neutral, although it could slip through a little bit. I don't really see the options chain turning around much right now, though. Although I do think the options are probably relatively cheap to the historic performance. Yeah, options are super cheap on it, so it, we might start to get a turnaround on it, but it's not happening yet. Yeah, I would wait on it. I don't like that nobody's like getting in on the cheap options. Everyone's still scared. Don't forget that like nothing's changed in the broader market. I know everyone's like, oh, holy fuck, we were up on Friday, but that's no. Friday was not a big deal. Nothing like significant changed on Friday. There's a little bit of, bulls trying to establish some support and a little bit of a push up, but we're still like fucking 8% from our highs. Like that's not like this is not like fucking back to 6200. This is one green candle in a sea of red. Yeah, the cheapest theta is the theta you don't own. How deviance 30% hedge translate to the chart in the event that oil goes to 50 a barrel? What do you mean by deviance 30% hedge? I mean, if oil drops, DVN will be affected, but it's seen some stability due to nat gas. The last 3 Fridays have been green candles, yeah, and everyone gets baited into Monday the market's gonna rip and then nothing happens. I agree. Pre SLD, like a lot of things are lining up. This is, they failed to get any kind of meaningful pump through this last week, but, Trump's going to keep opening his fucking mouth every day. And all it takes is for him to say one more wrong thing, and all of the bears will come rushing back in again. Support or no support, right? I mean, bulls have gotten blown up like 3 fucking times on the way down already. There's no reason to think this would be any different until it's different, right? If we get back above delta neutral, that's relevant. If we get back to gamma neutral on the monthly, that's relevant. But anything short of that, I mean, we're still deep in baratory, and confidence is massively eroded. So I mean, there's a lot of danger that even if bulls were, and they've established some concentrated positioning below 5500, and they are stabilizing this. I thought over 5600 was your relevance line intraday for Friday, but no, delta neutral, gamma neutral, those are the important levels always. That's where mean reversion is decided. Because under delta neutral, we're still in a negative delta and gamma environment, which means that the downtick and rejection are going to get sold off super hard, which makes it, substantially more difficult for bulls to reverse the market in any kind of meaningful way. Now, if the market maker is supportive, which means, above DN, above GN, then that's bullish. But we got a long way to go to that. And if we reject off of delta neutral, that's like our first indication that we're just in a bear market. Especially if we reject hard off of it. And we've got, 60 more bucks to the upside before we even test it. Will gold prices drop quickly after a crash from capital shift back into equities? Depends on the dollar. Probably not. If we crash and the dollar declines rapidly, gold will go up more. Gold can go up quite a lot. Don't remember, or don't forget that like all of the central banks are massively exposed to U.S. debt right now. Yeah, we can check out Goldman. Hmm. Mm, yeah, I mean, Goldman looks like a little bit of stability. Definitely sold puts to the downside. Quite a lot of them. Short dated though. Same thing. Like bullish, but not that bullish. Nobody's selling fucking leaps down here. Uh IV's pretty high on the 30 and the 10. Mm, HV10's kind of coming down a little bit. Yeah. I wouldn't play Goldman unless it got back above like 560. It's still really dangerous here. What's up, Bob? About a 520. Oh. Is moving all of their managers out of New York City bullish? It's pretty common. They've done that a lot of times. It's pretty common across the entirety of the finance industry to move higher up managers out of New York as they start to make more money. And they don't really move, right? They still come back to New York. They just relocate them to some place that doesn't have income tax so they can claim that as their primary residence. It's been going on forever. You start making a million plus a year in New York, and you don't want to be necessarily a resident of the city. Also, what better way to buy your new residence out of state than to get a deduction for relocation due to your employment? Do you think silver could play catch up with gold? Hmm. See, like the bull case for silver is like kind of way more bearish than the bull case for gold. When was the last time, do you think? I mean, it happens pretty much all the time, but I mean, it gets reported on generally when they move a lot of fund managers at once. I don't know if the bull case for silver is really valid. Like the silver to 80 case. That's kind of like we'd probably just impeach Trump at that point. Or long before that point. Like if we're discussing using silver as a commodity, like as our currency, hmm, we're in a bad spot. Are you're talking about like the abandonment of the dollar as a reserve currency? I don't know. It's just too far fetched right now. For fucking every billionaire on the planet would be trying to assassinate Trump at that point. Silver has more room to run. It's not like that high right now. Like recession, silver up, right? Um, Depression, silver way up. What was like the I forget. Silver peaked at like what 50 in 2011 when everyone got a little freaked out. That was around the time banks started doing massive share offerings all over the place. That was slightly lower in 2011 than the 1980 high. Probably. I don't remember it. Don't pay attention to silver very much. It might have been about the same, or maybe it was slightly higher in 2011. There was a lot of banking. I mean, you need banking fears. You need significant fear for the dollar. Like it's excessive. Like you really need a lot. But right now, I mean, with a recession possible on the table, it's not obscene to think that silver could go a little bit higher. I don't think I'd short it. That seems stupid. I'm not sure if I'd buy a bunch of it either, though. GME? Oh, we could take a look at that. I'm a little bit long GME right now. Yeah, picked up some Delta on Friday. Looks like some bot calls came in short dated Gamma. There's a ramp to the upside if it can clear over 25, although it's gonna have a problem with like 23.50, 24. If it gets over 25, I think it could run out like all the way to Gamma Max, probably, maybe a bit higher. Uh, maybe out to retest like 30 or 30.50. Gamma kind of flattens out above there. Options are relatively cheap. They're not super cheap, but the shorter dated IV is going up. IV30 is still coming down a little bit. HV10 hasn't picked up yet. So the longer dated IV is pretty low relative to like recent performance. Um, and then some things like that only I would be really interested in on GME, but like XRT correlations kind of picking up a little bit. Variance is rising. Foreign exchange arbitrage is staying sustainably positive, and there's a lot of like stress on liquidity. Also, XRT has been on Reg Show since the 27th, right? 26th, something like that, of Feb. So XRT is getting into a place where they're going to need to rebalance for like end of quarter soon. So yeah, I would say GME's got a little bit of covering that needs to be done. I don't think it's like MOAS or anything unless we get, DFV buying 250 million in the money delta again, but it may be a return back to like 28, 30 over the next few weeks. Is it better to trade metals and forex or futures? Up to you. I usually just use futures. I don't really care about having like any physical claim to any gold I buy, or I just trade like GLD. Although I've been trading gold futures a lot more recently than GLD. Like the last year and a half, I've been mostly using gold futures. Nope, nope, that's the wrong one. What about it? I wouldn't. I wouldn't even touch this. Why does it have no fucking volume? It's traded like 300 shares in the entire time it's been listed. Did you just like pull this up on like a scanner or something? Its total volume's 873 units traded over 6 months. Probably because someone bought a share. Do they have another listing? Maybe they have another. Oh, here's their NYSE one. This is better. Earnings in May. Did it really move up that much in after hours? Doesn't look like it moved at all in after hours. I don't know. Technical side of this is kind of bullish. Maybe not yet. Getting there. Hmm. Possibly like some bullish consolidation breakout at like 600. I don't think I have options data on this. I might. Oh, I do. There's plenty of gamma to the upside, but most of it above 650. Hmm. Yeah, a lot of gamma at 620, 630, but then kind of not much until it gets out to like 680 again. And then more above 680. Delta to the upside of spot is a little bit of a bitch. Vol's starting to pick up. Short dated options. Maybe. I feel like the spreads on it are going to be super fucky. But maybe I'm wrong. Let me see something. Yeah, the spreads are a little bit rough. It's definitely got some upside potential, but I don't know if options are the best choice on it. Uh, I would say if it got out above maybe like above 620 is definitely a good start, but above 650 is very bullish. So yeah, maybe wait for a cross up of delta neutral. Seems like a little bit of positioning is picked up on the dip, but not very much yet. What's the time frame for GME? Probably like a couple weeks. I mean, I think XRT needs to rebalance soon, like between now and right after, like the Wednesday after OPEX. I can't remember when, but somewhere in there. I got some like March 21 and April 21 calls on GME. That's long. Why? I mean, options on Jamie are pretty cheap right now relative to historic IB. So I mean, it's not it's probably like not that bad of a place to consider leaps. I mean, I wouldn't because I'd rather just wait for it to fall like under 20, but yeah, IV going up during earnings is probably the most bullish part of its current situation, or at least the most stably bullish part. I don't really know how anticipated earnings are for GME right now. Analyst expectations are 8 cents a share, which is only a 2-cent move to the upside from the prior. We'll see how hard they get hit by the falling consumer sentiment. It's probably not going to be good for them, but I don't know if it matters, given that the majority of their earnings are probably coming from money markets at this point. All right, let me see what I have any. I don't even have any nerds to talk to. Wow, that fucking sucks. I guess we'll just go over the index myself. Dork and JFresh aren't around. Third Friday of the quarter ending month. Yeah, so the Friday before OPEX. I'll talk to you, Glorp. I don't have much to say. Thanks, man. It's okay. I can do it. Don't worry. All right. So, what do we got going on this week? Let's take a look at the option stuff first, I think. Actually, we'll go over the macro shit first. I covered a bunch of this on Friday. Um, yields started to go back up into the end of last week. In the prior week, we discussed the potential for this happening, but ultimately yields fell Monday, and we slumped back down after they tried to gain support at the end of the prior week. And so, this week had some indication of bullish expectations going into the start of it. Those immediately fell apart when bulls were unable to regain any ground on Monday. And things just continued to get worse throughout the week until like Wednesday, Thursday, when we started to get a little bit of a turnaround and some interest picked up in short vol. And we saw leverage pick up more substantially. You can kind of see here Monday yields slump back down again, and then they've been kind of grinding up throughout the week. Not quite back to like the high that yields are at on Thursday, but moving up, and the dollar is staying moderately stable. More importantly than the dollar staying stable is that it's been gaining ground on the yen. And we can kind of see that here as they reverse, very very similar. They're reversing that leverage in the carry trade, going from a low, a low on Monday of around 8.34x leverage to Friday around 8.6. We see, probably more important than the 10-year, we see leverage moving up very consistently on the shorter dated side, with the like the 6-month synthetic swap moving, from 0.74 up to like almost 7x. And alongside that, we see the forward yield on volatility dropping, right? They lever up the carry trade. They use that additional margin to short vol. And so, we're seeing vol fall, and that's starting to line up with a fall in the 10 2-year spread, right? And so, if they're able to push the forward yield of volatility back negative, that's going to reduce substantially the demand for volatility hedges. So right now, bulls are on a very concentrated and clear path to trying to form support and turn some of this back around. But it could still kind of collapse very early on in this and kind of also in the middle. So like around end of February, they tried to turn things around a bit. It failed. They did the same in early March. It also failed. And with every failure, the forward yield on vol moved higher, and the demand for that yield increased. So there's a very good chance that this could fail again. That's something to be very mindful of. But so far, I would say they've got some stability, and it is on track to a bit of a reversal. Um, we see bond vol falling, still above 100, but falling down, and correlation starting to turn around a little bit more significantly on the 3 month, especially, but also on the 1 month. This turnaround in correlation, infers an increased interest into the dispersion trade, which is, the other side of what they use the carry leverage for, right? You short the index, long the underlying. And the turnaround the last couple of days has been pretty rapid. It did break apart a little bit on Thursday, and then Friday they continued to push. So I mean, at least the effort to do so is still pretty concentrated. We got a bit of a reversal in tech on Friday, really leading the way. Some breadth, but still only 27% of the S&P above its 20-day moving average. I would say that given that a lot of the leverage is in the carry, we will probably see outperformance of tech to the upside rather than breadth. Even though we've seen a lot of rotation, I think they are services are slightly less impacted by the tariffs than broader like manufacturing and consumer non-durable and retail exposed sectors. So I think we may end up like if we do get this push up, I think it may end up being kind of narrow, especially as we get into more normalized ranges around like delta neutral or above delta neutral. I think you'll really see tech outperform the upside of those levels. So like mean reversion for like Dow transport and stuff, Dow industrial is I think significantly lower than mean reversion for tech. And so we'll probably start to see breadth fall off as the market climbs higher. And then yeah, we'll continue to watch the kind of choppy action in the breakdown of correlation, but correlation is still super high. So I mean, they're shorting vol. It's very concentrated in like a specific range of strikes, but we need to see that short vol positioning expand, and we're really going to want to see correlation between VIX and cash VIX decline more significantly than it has. There's plenty of room to the downside for VIX. I mean, they can definitely short the near term volatility here pretty hard, and they did kind of Friday. They can continue to do so, and so there's probably plenty of room for like 30-day volatility to move down. I'm not sure how much like 3 month vol is going to move down though. I could see a situation where that stays pretty elevated, which is also an indication that this could end up being, a bear rally ultimately. But we are way overdue one. Fed fund futures fell a little bit on Friday, down to like 13. So still not a lot of like swap support for a rate cut at this coming meeting. I think a lot more of the bets are out on like September, where it's far more likely to see a rate cut. And then the bear steepener between the 10-2 really not doing much. I would say it's kind of just a little choppy. I mean, the economic situation is going to be a little bit more certain after April 2nd, and then we might see some moves there. But nothing really nothing really shaking up the long and short end right now. Especially because inflation didn't come in super hot. Had inflation come in hotter, and demand hadn't fallen off so sharply, we'd probably be seeing rates continue to move up at the top end of the curve. But we are something going on, outside of the U.S. Treasury market is that we are seeing the spreads widen pretty substantially in corporate debt. And so, you know, even though we're not seeing a lot of moves in credit spreads here, we are seeing credit spreads move on corporate debt. And that's for a few reasons, but lower demand is definitely a significant part of that. I'll shake up your long end. Thanks, man. So on the technical side of that, we tested that 552 low. We actually broke through it a little bit, which adds a little bit of weakness to our support here. It wasn't just a clean bounce off of that June high. And slipping that a little, still opens up that move down to like 5402. Now, since we are on a bounce, we'll be looking at 56.96.51, which is the November low, as our first indicator of any kind of reversal. If we get above that, that's kind of like the bull signal. And then we'd be looking at it like 57.73, 58.32, to continue a move to the upside. On the 1 week, which is probably a little bit more important here, we still closed below the 50-week moving average. So getting above that locally probably pretty significant. If bears were going to that's a pretty important systematic trigger, and if bears are going to reposition and push down again, that would be a very good spot for them to do it. So 56.55, pretty important. 56.96, very important. That's a higher time frame. I'm here. You can start the stream now. Oh, I can come grab you. I was just going over some macro shit. What's up, man?
What up?
There we go. Oh, wait, am I muted? No. All right.
No, okay. I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're coming in. You're coming
What's
through loud
up?
and clear. Nothing much. I just ran through all of the macro shit. I was kind of talking about the turnaround in dispersion and the lever up and the carry. Oh,
Yeah,
also, Bank of Japan announced that they're probably not going to cut at this next meeting, which is going to encourage participants to lever up the carry trade as well. And it'll probably
yeah,
benefit the dollar, around 6 o'clock when futures kick in.
yeah. Sounds like there's going to be liquidity for this bounce.
Yeah, yeah.
So cool.
But still a very long way to the upside. So I'm gonna actually jump over to Gamma Strike now because I'm in a hot flow.
Gamma Strike. What's that?
Well, that's our options data platform that we built,
Wow, that looks cool.
doesn't it? So the majority of put leverage has moved down after the 314 expiration, but still the peak of that about 5% out of the money to the upside. So bulls are going to have to lever up puts significantly.
All week. Yeah.
Yeah, all week, to get us up to that range where they get the majority of their sold puts back out of the money. And there's definitely a significant amount of potential upside range if they are successful. However, if they fail, very bad, because delta on puts picks up pretty linearly to the downside still. It's like, almost a straight line to the downside. And so any rejection, any failure, any negative news can pull us right back to where we were really, really fast. Now, volatility may not be as high on that move, because of how things have positioned, and the lack of out of the money short puts near the money. Um, but the delta and everything could fall off right back and like continue to, well, I guess continue to pile up all the way back down into the collar, where they would probably try to have to reverse things once again. So very slippery downside still. It's really probably a really important factor to consider when maybe going along on all of this, is that one fuck up and it all comes crumbling down. So
I posted a Bama Lama Ding Dong chart.
oh yeah.
Yeah, Black Betty, Bama Lama Lam.
Ooh, oh nice. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a little spicy.
I'll pop that open.
I know it's not Gamma Striking. I'm
I
sorry,
did
but
mention corporate credit spreads getting real weird.
yeah, well, they're getting wide.
Yeah, they are. They are. Not just U.S. either, EU too.
Oh yeah, well, I
So,
mean, I think that you know everyone's starting to come to grips with this administration being I don't know, like almost like an inflection point towards global austerity.
yep,
The
accelerating it.
EU is
That's for
catching on
sure.
real quick.
Well,
The EU's like,
The EU's already gone through a pretty substantial drawdown in both, like, well, especially in growth. So, I mean, I think the EU is technically a little bit better positioned to recover from all of this. Because, they haven't been financing the world's largest bubble
right.
actively.
Well, plus they're all. It sounds like they're also turning into war hawks. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. A lot more government
they're getting
spending
fuck
about
tons of
to come
defense
in.
spending.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Germany's
going to be interesting.
Germany's debt break is pretty interesting. If you haven't looked into that yet, you should.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, a bunch of shit happening.
Yep.
It's okay. New world order, right? Is that what's going to happen?
Put leverage peak moved down like 2.5% on Friday,
Oh fuck yeah, it did.
but total put leverage didn't move up that much.
Honestly, it's probably just like hedging off positioning or rolling positioning, trying to
Yeah, yeah. I think they're trying to
get
eat.
things near spot.
I think they're just eating losses still.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry, I'm eating right now because it's noon.
That's fine.
Yeah, what has oil been doing? I haven't looked at it in a couple days.
It's kind of bottoming out around like 65.
Nice. I've been wondering when the oil cycle's going to pick back up. It's interesting that it's just fucking cheaper than shit still.
Yeah, this week's gonna be tricky to predict in any meaningful way.
Yeah, what data we got?
We actually, well, we have a little bit. It's not as crazy as last week, but we have retail sales on Monday, which, probably aren't going to shock everyone if they suck.
Right.
But currently the like consensus is at point 0.7. So
Hmm.
they expect an uptick in retail sales from Jan, which I don't think I agree with. So it's probably gonna miss like analyst expectations, at least based on the data we've seen, right? With the massive drop in inflation month over month, and then also like Michigan consumer was atrocious.
Yeah.
So like month over month inflation is way down, but consumers are really feeling the price gouging.
It makes
And
sense, right?
that feels like a last ditch effort to like pump quarter 2 earnings before. Oh, it's going to be cool. Imagine grocery stores that have sales again.
But what?
Yeah, that's going to be
That's horse
next.
shit, dude.
That's the best sign that you're entering a recession, I think, is
When you get discounts on groceries.
when grocery stores start giving up their yield to maintain market share.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I
Well,
I
because
wish there
that
was a
because
more
that
coherent
those
plan.
sales are subsidized, right?
Yeah.
Because grocery stores have like 2% margins, so anytime anything goes on sale, it's subsidized by the manufacturers,
Yeah.
and so that's it speaks to like a pullback in the entire like a pullback of pricing in the entirety of the supply chain. The grocery store has a
Ugh.
sale on corned beef this week because of St. Patrick's Day tomorrow.
I don't know if that's necessarily a sale on corned beef. They're just advertising that they have corned beef.
I was gonna go
They're
outside
saying it's for
today, and
sale.
then I realized it was like the St. Patrick's Day parade, and I'm just
Oh,
not.
fuck
I don't
that.
want to get puked on, so I'm just gonna stay inside my house all day.
Smart.
I suspect
Yeah.
that all the people celebrating it aren't even Irish.
Oh, fuck no, they're not. It's not about being Irish.
It's just about being
It's
drunk
about
in public.
exactly on Guinness.
Ugh. I went to Costco
Fuck,
this
dude.
morning and they had eggs. Market saved. That's because you went in the morning. If you go after like noon, they don't have eggs anymore.
Why are people buying so many eggs again? Was there like a new like egg recipe that everyone's just got to try?
No, there was bird flu, and so they culled a shitload of the egg laying chickens, and then egg prices skyrocketed because the U.S. like the majority of the U.S. egg market's controlled by like three companies who price fix.
Okay, so Kirk, you want to know something confusing?
What?
There's something that confuses me, I should say.
Yeah, sure.
So when the price of something goes up, you know what I generally do? I generally tend to buy less of it,
Weirdo. What? How
right?
un-American of you.
But then like okay, so then like, chickens get cold, eggs get expensive or whatever, right? And it's like okay, so in my mind I'd be like, well, my civic duty is, to maybe consume less eggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps slow down on my buying of eggs to make sure that there are sufficient eggs for everybody.
Huh.
However, what we see like massive amounts of people buying ridiculous quantities of eggs
Yeah, far more than they could ever
for
eat.
for yeah, for what reason other than to let them rot in their fridge?
See, I've just upped my selection and purchasing moment, right? So like I walk up to the eggs now with my cart, right? I kind of push my cart to the side a little, and then I just slowly pick up and cradle each dozen eggs and inspect them. Like I open the lid and inspect them really slowly, kind of blow the dust off of them, make sure that they're perfect. Then I put them in my cart, and then I do that again. Like if anybody's watching, I'll just keep buying eggs until they stop looking at me. And then, I make a big deal of protecting my eggs at the register. I'm like, could you make sure you like double bag those? Like, I don't want them in with the rest of the shit that I bought here. They need their own
Do
bag.
you bring newspapers in to wrap the eggs in?
Performative assholery. Yeah, exactly. I just want everybody like you that can't afford eggs to see me purchasing extra eggs.
Well, see, it's not about me not being able to afford eggs. I just get eggs like I regularly do, right? Like I
Uh-huh.
just buy a normal amount of eggs, and then lo and behold, I still manage to have eggs in my house. Like, are people thinking like
How
these are
many
like the last
well,
eggs
hold
on the
on.
planet?
Hold on. How many eggs do you eat a day?
On average, probably one, maybe two.
Interesting. So I have like
How many eggs should I be eating a day?
I don't know, I have like 2 eggs every day. And I hate breakfast. But like over the course of an entire week, I probably average out to about 2 eggs every day. They're great protein. They have choline in them. They're amazing for you.
They're great. Then don't get me wrong. I don't. I like eggs as much as the next guy, but that doesn't mean that if there's a shortage of eggs or the price of eggs goes up, that I am going to go into panic mode and go buy 5 dozen eggs.
No, I've never been panicked about the eggs. I did see some guy leaving the Costco with like pallets of eggs, and I was like, "What are you gonna do with this?"
Does he own a
But
restaurant?
but that's the thing. Like, if you own a restaurant, you can't risk running out of eggs, right? And so I think a lot of that drive is coming from like the small business side, and then that's bleeding over to like regular people showing up to the store and there being no fucking eggs at all, right? And so when the eggs are available, then people are buying excess because they're afraid
Hmm.
that they won't be able to get a hold of them again.
Well, it's interesting that small business owners don't have some sort of a wholesale deal with these egg distributors.
Well, I mean, everybody's probably getting squeezed on the prices.
Right, but like, I mean, the thing is if you get a wholesale deal with a distributor, I mean, you're going to get a better deal than you're going to get at Costco, unless Costco. You know what though? That could be wrong because Costco does have their like, their whole price fixing scheme where they fuck over their, manufacturers with crazy whatever deals.
Yeah, yeah. Costco's got their own problems.
Right. Well, I mean, Costco's a genius business in that they go to like a company and they're like, "Hey, I'm going to brand these as Kirkland, and I'm going to buy 60% of what you produce, in perpetuity
A lot of the
at
problem
this
with
price."
Costco is they actually approach smaller manufacturing businesses, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna buy 180% of what you actually produce. Figure it out, and if you don't in 6 months, we're gonna drop you."
That's true.
And so, yeah, that's probably the bigger issue. But
I don't know. I don't know.
business business
It's confusing to
idea:
me.
make our own chicken farm, open a breakfast cafe, chicken butt to human mouth. That's genius. We could call it ATM.
Ass to mouth.
Yeah. And like our logo
I
could just
love
be
it.
some guy sucking on an egg. Or if JFresh has his way, just a guy mouth to cloaca. Oh, better name.
The egg hole.
MTC, mouth to cloaca.
Mm. I was just thinking we get that egg hole meme picture and put that on the front door, and it just says egg hole.
Stop ruining eggs. How am I ruining eggs? You should know where your eggs come from. Too many people have gotten too far removed from where their food is sourced.
Yeah, they seriously have.
Your egg comes out of a cloaca, and then you crack it open and eat its juicy contents, and that's the way the world works.
You're basically eating chicken menstruation.
Yeah.
I love that. I just wanted to pop in here because there's a lot of talk about Costco. And
Yeah.
I actually worked for them at one point.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I know
yeah.
that. I know
And-
that, but I was acting surprised.
Oh, yeah. No, their business model is actually pretty sick.
It is.
Basically, it's you give us the lowest price on this SKU, or we don't carry your product. Which is why, like, Coke comes in that weird 36 pack
Mm-hmm.
because no one else sells that 36 pack. So Coca-Cola can guarantee that lowest price of the SKU to Costco because they're the only one they sell it to. Costco also maintains a maximum 6% profit per item.
This is true.
Yep.
And actually, several of their items are sold below cost as well.
Yes. They make 6 cents profit per jar of pickles they sell.
Damn.
And being a pickle themed cult here, I think that's very relevant.
It is. Everyone here is always looking for the best place to source the nearest to cost pickles.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I one of the main reasons I shop at Costco is because their management's kind of changing things around recently in not so favorable ways. But for a long time, it was so nice to just have a company fight for your margins for you without you having to think about it.
Yeah, yeah. I had a meeting with an old director of mine. It was a couple weeks back when eggs were a big issue, and he said the lady that's head of buying was literally scouring the entire country trying to find an egg supplier. Like, it was the number one thing. Like, we have to find fucking eggs now.
Yeah. Well, Costco has their own. Costco has like their own, like their own henneries. I don't know what the fuck you call them, but they have their own own egg distribution network that they own. Like, you know, the way they bought those, like, Costco. So here's another fun one. Costco bought a bunch of like cotton farms that they used to solely for the manufacturing of Kirkland clothing. But like, they have their own like egg distribution network, or they own the farms or something like that. And they had to call, like, they got hit with bird flu, which was one of the reasons they got kind of fucked harder than a lot of the other grocery stores. That, and they have to support like a ton of small businesses that are all buying eggs en masse.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they were like one of them, and I think Tyson were like the first two to get hit with like bird flu really bad.
We should talk about meat prices. That shit's ridiculous.
It is. It's absurd. What pisses me off is they've started like up pricing all of the shitty meat because people have figured out how to cook it.
Yeah, like
now,
tri-tip used to be $6.99 a pound. Now, why is it $11.99?
Dude,
the fuck out of here!
Chicken thighs, arguably one of the most undesirable parts of the chicken for the last 20 years. Now, the same price or more than chicken breasts.
Ugh.
Also, the chicken breasts have gotten nasty. I don't even buy them anymore. Have you gotten like one of the woody ones?
No.
Oh god, it's the most. So what happens is like we've bred like the chickens to the point where like they grow so fast that their breast tissue like rips and creates scar tissue in the like 4 weeks they're alive, from like chick to like full grown breast. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a full grown chicken, but like, and so there's an entire like genetic pool of chickens that just do this all the time, and they're just mixed in to all of the chicken you get regularly.
It's the fucking chicken chads that are roided out with stretch marks.
Yeah, they're just like, basically. And it's completely inedible, and it's putting it in your mouth and like biting it. It's like trying to chew. Imagine like taking a bunch of rubber bands and holding them between your fingers and then just trying to bite through them.
Do that anytime I have a rubber
but it
band
tastes
in
like
my hand.
really strongly of poultry.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
So I've started just like butchering my own like whole fryer chickens, because they're not they're not grown specifically for breast meat.
Yeah.
And that's like, but it's terrible. It's just, and they still want, you know, $20 fucking a pound for them.
Dude, I get fryers at fucking Winco for $10. Are you kidding me?
I feel like chicken thighs used to be like $2.99 a pound on sale.
They used to be like
you could
free.
Just get a
they were
fuck
just
ton
like,
of them.
Yeah, they were just like, come take our chicken thighs away from us. We have so many.
Yeah, you just slow cook them on the barbecue.
They're so
good.
They're
actually bomb.
Yeah,
they're so good.
So good.
I love chicken thighs, dude. They're great for like burrito bowls and stuff.
You guys ever make them like the Hawaiian style, where they you like fillet it so it spreads out real thin, and then just like teriyaki and grill that shit?
That sounds good.
It's
so fucking good. Yeah,
I'll have to do that next time I have like a $50 to buy some thighs.
The next time you're rich enough.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well my credit score improves from when I bought a steak.
Yeah, I just bought 3 ribeyes at Costco.
Once you pay off your steaks weekly payments.
Exactly.
Fucking
Well, the
layaway.
payday loan I got for them, yeah.
Layaway steaks.
Dude,
She does that,
you can buy
Affirm,
your
pay
groceries at
later.
Whole Foods with Affirm now.
Ugh.
Somebody in line in front of me did that at Whole Foods like last weekend. They like paid with Affirm for their groceries, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, this is the end
Consumers
of this is
fine.
the end of the world."
Well, why would
Consumers
you pay with Affirm when like you could just
pay with food
pay with your
stamps?
regular credit card or food stamps?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, you don't qualify for food stamps unless you like literally don't make enough money to make rent.
Or if you have kids too. I
Yeah,
should talk to Miss Nuke.
just like pop
Hey.
some kids out so you can get food stamps.
Yeah.
But we're not
Yep.
gonna have food stamps soon, isn't Trump like firing all those people?
No, he's
I just need to
deporting the
find-
food stamps.
Yeah,
Yeah. Straight to jail.
dude, if he
Right
cuts
away.
off the
Yeah.
food stamps, he's gonna lose his whole base.
He's gonna well, if he cuts off the food stamps, it's like there's gonna be like actual riots.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, you can't do that. He's not gonna do that. I mean, I have to assume his handlers are not morons.
well, they're cutting off Social Security, but I guess nobody cares about old people rioting.
Well, yeah, that's not really a riot. That's just I don't know, bingo
That's
night.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I don't know. They could take up extra space with walkers.
Well, this is
True.
what Milton Friedman said about like we're like 9 meals away from anarchy. Whoever the fuck said that, you're like 9 meals away from anarchy.
Yeah.
Like nine
Yep.
missed meals away from anarchy. But like America's so fat that we're really like 30 days like away from even marching to the riot.
True. We have a lot of stored energy in our population.
Maybe the Ozempic gonna make us more like
fucking edgy.
yeah.
Wiley.
Yeah, we're gonna be like more wily than the models predicted because everyone's been on Ozempic for 6 months. It's Nuke, yeah, that's Nuke.
Yeah.
Talk about market stuff. I mean, the only thing I'm interested in right now is gold. I wonder what that's gonna do.
Probably
go down.
Probably go down briefly and then keep going up later. I mean, the reason gold's up is because all of the central banks all over the world are massively overexposed to the US dollar and US debt. And the only really effective hedge against the god currency is gold. And so they've been buying it up. And they've continued to buy it up as risk
For
in the
years
dollar
now.
has risen.
Well, when are they gonna stop?
Never. Well, when risk in the dollar goes away.
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about gold is that it is a limited resource, right? So, as with any commodity, right, it's a hedge against dollar devaluation.
I just want to know how much more my gold-plated Colt is worth now, with gold being twice as high as when I bought it. Probably $50.
Yeah.
Probably. It's a Colt, so you're talking a 1911.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's probably
worth about
24
$100.
karat gold plated or 18?
No, it's
Like, did you
22.
so you went like right in between classy and durability, huh?
Yeah, that's usually where I reside. Like too
Well, he's
degenerate to
actually-
be classy, but too classy to be degenerate.
Well, he's right at the drug lord level of gold plating. He's
No,
not
drug
at the
lord's
Saudi
24
oil
carat.
magnate. No, that's
Yeah.
Saudi oil magnate,
Same thing.
I guess.
Yeah.
So what if I ask a question for
If
for
he
the
was like
public
14
here?
karat gold, I'd be like, he's gonna use that thing.
Get that hard shit. Yeah. Well, Girk, how are you viewing the market? Because everything has been getting rejected real hard for a while, but we saw short vol pile in, try to gain some semblance of control. I feel like at any point, going long has that passive risk of what we've experienced for the past few weeks of just a big fuck you from the bears.
I mean, so for the last, I've been in kind of the same position for the last 6 months, right? Like I'm long a bunch of puts until they go up, and then I hedge the upside risk.
Mm.
And I'm usually pretty good about closing my puts near a bottom.
Yeah.
And so that's worked out really well. I mean, my only like exposure right now is like consumer durables and utilities and some commodities. So I mean, this is definitely not like where I'd be going like long equities in my 401k.
Mhm.
Unless it allowed for like really active management, which a lot of them don't, right? You can usually only like rotate them every so often. Um,
Mhm.
some of them are a little better, but I mean, we've gotten a big sell off in tech. It'll probably bounce, right? But then I'll just buy some like out of the money calls on tech, and like if it blows up, whatever. I
Mhm.
mean, that's kind of been my approach to all of this for a while now, and so far it's been working out. I mean, we've kind of been in this situation since, and like it doesn't seem like it. We've really been in it since like March of last year, when the carry first started to kind of unwind. Things got started to get a lot shakier, and the volatility environment started to shift, and we saw that
Mhm.
realized really rapidly in August. And then from like September into the end of the year, like into December, we got a decent recovery, but that fell apart too, right? And so like
Mhm.
all of Jan was real, like late December through January was really shaky, and now it's really just starting to fall apart. So I mean, I don't have a lot of confidence that anything's going to recover from here, and I think the economic situation's only going to get worse. And
Mhm.
and Trump's kind of throwing gas on that fire. Like had he not, we probably would have had like a bit longer, where things could have stayed more stable. But but now I don't know if we do. Like I mean, I don't think we're crashing right now because we don't have like a catalyst to drive like a crash. But I think everyone's too afraid to
Mhm.
keep holding on.
Yeah. And it seems like,
Like
the potential of what,
there's too much incentive to take profit.
yeah. Well, and the questionable thing here is that if there is no significant recovery right now, if we experience the same drawdown as we did the last like month or so, the risk of things blowing up is even higher. Right.
Yeah,
And each time there's a failure to regain some semblance of control and stability, the risk of the failure is higher and that failure becomes bigger.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, every failed recovery usually leads to a deeper drawdown.
Hmm.
But we've got to see, right? Like this is the first time we've really gotten like a stable kind of recovery through this last like month. So, or well, at least like some stable positioning under spot. And so we'll have to see what this develops into over this next week, because it could kind of go two different ways. I mean, we've got SLD coming up like on this coming Wednesday, right? And so generally speaking, the pre-SLD period is like a really good time to take profits where from the positions where people are net long or short, right? And so, if everybody's been long puts through this to the downside, then prior to SLD, we're going to see a lot of profit taking. We're going to see volatility fall, right? Bulls are going to try to take advantage of that falling volatility and the crush, and try to get vol, back under like historic vol, right? Like so IV 30 10 should start to fall back under the historic range over the prior like 10 to 30 days. But then what happens at that point? We don't know, right? So
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
depending on how high we move on the index, we could still. I mean, if we don't move 5% in the next 3 days, basically, there's a
Hmm.
really really high risk that um, charm, like the decay of charm into the AM expiry, especially, starts to weigh really really heavily on this short dated bullish positioning. And so if the recovery isn't sufficient, the likelihood of a failure is very, very high. And then that first failure, right? Like if, like, say we skirt just above delta neutral and then fail, that kind of puts us into like a situation that we haven't really seen since like 2022, like early 2022 when the market first started tanking. Um, and then, you know, a failure there also will exacerbate fear. It'll exacerbate flight to safety. It's gonna make people even more reticent to hold things that are trading at, you know, very, very high PEs. Because I mean, if you think about like where we are on like, you know, Schiller PE right now relative to even here at like the bottom of this, right? Um, I think we're at like 35.21 as of Friday's close. And the mean for, you know, the 10-year inflation adjusted CAPE ratio is like 17.
Mm.
So the market's still trading at like double its long run mean. And the median's even lower. It's down around like 16.
Mm-hmm.
And the more fear there is, the less and less likely we're going to be able to maintain, you know, any kind of euphoric valuations, let alone, you know, not even euphoric valuations. It'll be harder and harder to maintain bullish valuations because the sentiment
Yep.
will just erode far faster than probably the earnings actually will.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's a bit of a tricky spot. I think there's an opportunity here for things to stabilize, but it'll require that Trump retreats on tariffs pretty soon, um, and backs
Well,
off
those are
of
coming
them.
in
Well,
April,
some are
right?
already in effect. So,
Yeah.
like steel and aluminum are already in place. A bunch of the like, well, the the reactionary tariffs from other countries are in effect. And then, yeah, we're supposed to have like the reciprocal tariffs come into play in in April. But you know, he's gambling with something the bond market really doesn't like, which is he's kind of gambling with US hegemony, and
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the world is pushing back. They're not rolling over to it. And they weren't going to either. Like
Yeah.
there was just no it was a really bad, like if it was just a negotiation tactic, it was a really dangerous one and a really bad one, because if the rest of the world starts to become trade and financially independent from the US, the US is not going to have the international standing that it did. I mean, most of our projection of power throughout the world and the globe and what makes us number one is soft power. And when we start playing with that, you know, you're taking a lot of risk that other countries push back. They start to form trade agreements amongst each other exclusive of the US. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden our reserve currency doesn't have the weight that it once had, and you start getting, you know, more dollar independence from other countries, and they push out, you know, that dollar exposure, and they start to get exposure among their trade partners, and it can all fall apart really, really fast. I mean, there's yeah, it's not something that you generally want to mess with. And so I think the market's been very vocal about it doesn't like that shit.
Yeah.
Um, and so, well, I don't know. I mean, it's political, so who the fuck knows where it's going to end up?
Speaking to that, with the steel tariffs, I was going over some of the scanners in Gamma Strike. The new one, the shark fin exposure scanner.
Ooh,
Ooh,
Did
haha.
you cover X and its notional change in DEX? Because I
No,
was looking at that.
did it go ape shit or something?
Yeah. So do day over day, and then max change the look back. Yep. And then max results. Result counts. Yeah, filter that.
Oh,
You'll need more results. And then do notional.
ooh, that's a pretty big uptick.
Number 3. Yeah. And so that was something that I was looking at thinking, okay, yeah, if those
It's
tariffs are in
domestically
place.
sourced steel, yeah.
Yeah. And it looks like some deltas being loaded on. That was kind of interesting. So maybe gold and steel. Maybe I'm a metal guy, but like you said, I'm feeling a lot of what you said of like it seems kind of sus in either direction, right? There's a potential for stability, but do you want to bet on that potential? And if there is, how far will it go? Kind of like each day, at the end, you're like, oh, well, if the bulls can push this and lever up, then they can save X position. Well, it's that, but on a much larger scale, with
Well,
the
yeah.
entirety of the chain being
Well,
significant.
some of that money that was in tech is probably not going to come back, right? People are going to want to
Yeah.
invest in dollar-denominated commodities, which is a significant chunk of the global commodity trade. And so like it's not just X, right? Like if so Vale is like something that I've owned for a little while, which is like Brazilian steel manufacturer. They were up like 4% on Friday. Brazil, not really the focus of the trade war, although there would be reciprocity in tariffs between us and Brazil. I still think Brazil makes like really good sense as like a trading partner if we kind of destroy our trade relations with Mexico and Canada. Because Brazil can very easily ship to like the east coast of the United States, and so we can develop a supply chain there. And there's already been like a lot of recent investment into like building out their infrastructure to better support that anyway. But their government is not their current government is not particularly aligned philosophically with ours, which would be because they're like a labor focused government, so more on the left side. So it may be hard to negotiate any kind of deal there, but it does make sense for that. X is a little dangerous because there's still kind of an ongoing question of the like Nippon buyout, and how much like to avoid lawsuits in Trump trying to back out of Nippon buying U.S. steel, he would probably allow a significant purchase of U.S. steel by Nippon. And so no one really knows what Nippon would offer, which is yeah. So with that up in the air, it could be difficult for it to see like anything higher than its recent upper levels, so around like $40, which doesn't give it a lot of room to the upside, even if Delta does pick up here. So that's a little bit problematic.
Yeah,
But
yeah. It's kind of what I'm seeing. There's a lot of positioning that piled in or has been around 40, but relatively short dated through the middle of the year.
But if IV ticks up on it, which I'm not sure it has, but if IV ticks up on it, that could also represent like IV's a little elevated on like the 30-day. That could open up like a call selling opportunity, like on a test of 40.
Yeah.
Which just like, I mean, you got to kind of hope that nothing significant, like there's no significant change over the next like 30 days. But generally that move is,
you up.
yeah, generally that move is kind of slow.
Yeah.
News is kind of slow moving. So even if it did blow it up, there's like a big chance that there'd be like mean reversion before all the dust is settled.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a good example of that with like Activision. Back like that was great for just selling calls on for a while. Like any time it bounced a little, or like the news between like them and their Microsoft buyout got like a little bit of bullish sentiment, IV would like tick up on it. And you could like sell some calls, and then it would just fall back to the buyout price again. This is a little different than that because this isn't just like a locked in buyout anymore.
Yeah, it's tricky. It feels like anything I look at has uncertainty on every side, more so than normal, and navigating that uncertainty is somewhat difficult.
Yeah.
I guess
Well,
bet
it's
on vol. There you go.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's
Honestly.
yeah. I think I like right now, like identifying things where volatility is cheaper than like the historic vol, where like there's an incentive to go long options is probably the best bet with appropriate hedging, of course. But I mean that seems to be where we're at. And most of those stocks are like the big dispersion trades, right? Like Nvidia,
Yeah.
Netflix, Microsoft, Meta, Google, where like current volatility is really low compared to the long run average. And so, you know, long vol or like, short puts kind of scenario on some of those. But they are risky. They're definitely risky right now. And like the biggest problem is that like that long vol positioning coming in could collapse pretty quickly. So like very very like touch and go and in and out on a lot of those positions. Like I have
Yeah.
no
Sounds
interest
like
in buying any of them, but like I'd go long calls, right? Like I have a bunch of tqqq calls that I picked up on Friday, like beginning of the day on Friday, because I mean, for the most part, it seems like bulls are trying to turn it around. They'll probably have some success. I'm just not sure how much.
yeah.
But those were up big into the end of the day.
Sounds like a feature that would be useful for our users to be able to find those opportunities in situations such as this.
Yeah, we need to build a volatility scanner. But how we do that's going to be tricky, I think. Because
Yeah.
because volatility on indexes is really easy, but volatility in like underlying like the index like the underlying components of the indexes like individual equities because they're each individual options markets, it's really hard. And so that's one of the reasons like me and Jay Fresh have been talking a lot about like some of the like skew and kurtosis metrics and stuff and seeing what we can derive that helps us build something that's pretty decent for a scanner, because it's not just as simple as like IV being higher than historic IV or IV being lower than historic IV. It's like how much and how is the market. Like there was a bunch of stuff that people had me look at today where they've stabilized on their drop, but bulls aren't coming in. And that's tricky because everyone wants to play the mean reversion, but also everyone's too
Yeah.
afraid to play the mean reversion, which might speak to like the broader fear in the market right now also.
I mean, that's me, honestly. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
on SPX, okay, go get a test of delta neutral, maybe, right?
maybe. Yeah.
But if it fails, I feel like the failure will be spectacular. So it's a question of,
Well, if it
I don't
fails,
know,
you
how
might
you
just like
feel.
open the next day down 3%.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
yeah.
and then get fucked.
I mean, VIX 20 and higher is never really a good time to be carrying a lot of shit overnight anyway, unless the hedge
Yeah.
is like baked in already. I thought
I don't
kurtosis
know.
was not eating carbs. That's correct, popcorn trader. Nailed it.
That's okay. Okay, popcorn. All right.
You were
I'm
gonna
just waiting. I'm
were
just
you gonna
waiting.
correct him?
Maybe. I'm just waiting for OPEX to happen to see what happens to the options macro chart. See if you know participants want to continue participating to the same degree they have been,
Mm.
because that'll tell you a lot about the risk appetite of the market. But until then, yeah, it's just kind of anyone's guess as to where we're gonna fly around, right? What Trump's gonna say, what Trump's not gonna say, what other countries are gonna do.
Yeah, I've just been enjoying I mean, I have some longer dated positions, but I closed a bunch on Friday. I had like June puts. I kept a few open as like runners in case this all fails, but I mean, for the most part, I'm just enjoying kind of trading the intraday and, my overnight really, really short dated straddles that I've been buying. And by
Yeah.
really short dated, I mean, I'm just buying the zero DTE.
Right.
Because, I mean, anything with any theta is just way too expensive to justify.
Oh yeah.
And then you have to worry about crush so much. So it's like, but I mean, those have worked out because we go up and down 150 points a day. But yeah, I don't really want anything outside of that right now. I'm still long yen.
Still long. Are you still short Nikkei?
No. No, I haven't been short Nikkei since August.
Hmm.
I was short Nikkei for like 2 years. When that shit printed, I was like, I'm out. I probably would short Nikkei, but closer to like an actual decision from Bank of Japan, which they seem to be backing off on right now. But
Yeah.
if I thought there was like a credible threat to the carry in like or a catalyst therein, then I would probably go short Nikkei again.
I mean, have you seen our economy?
Yeah, yeah. But I think all of us are well aware how long things can grind from one step to the next. I mean, like right now, I expect the carry trade to get levered up as much as they feasibly can. So, I mean, that should be a net benefit for Nikkei and a net negative for yen in the short term. Don't get me wrong, if they push yen, like if they push Nikkei like back to all time highs and they push yen down to like 160 again, I'm gonna double down on all of that shit. But we're not there right now. Or if like Basant comes out and he's like, "Oh, we're just gonna start issuing debt on the 2 year and higher." No more
Well,
bills.
no one should listen to anything I say because I sold puts into a 10% market dump. So my timing is impeccable.
Hey, that Zom Condor is still valid.
Well, I closed it out.
I know. It bounced right back.
I know. Feels good, man.
Did
Dork said,
Did Dork just
"Fuck this.
leave? What the fuck was that?
You leave me alone.
What's the
I'm
IV
not a
on?
quant."
What's the IV on Trump invading the Panama Canal?
I don't know what that is. Isn't it the American Canal? United States Canal?
The United States Canal of Panama. I don't know. We're either going to invade Canada or Panama at some point, right? Because we need martial law. So we go pick one. I don't know. It's
Do
fucking.
we?
It would be bad.
Do we need that?
It seems like we do. Well, the courts
Yeah.
are blocking all of the current administration's orders. And so to defy the courts with any kind of precedent would require martial law. Otherwise, you just have to ignore them, which I could also see as being a valid tactic. Dork's internet's being a piece of shit because of crazy wind.
Well, I guess you're stuck with me.
Yep. That's fine. I think I covered everything I needed to for this coming week. I mean, I would say we probably test delta neutral, but I have no idea what happens after that. And there's still like, I don't know, there's still a kind of a heightened chance that we could fail before 56.55. I just don't see it right now. I think most of the news over the weekend was pretty pretty stabilizing or bullish at least. I know we shot missiles at Yemen, but nobody probably cares about that. Trump tried to enact martial law via executive order over the weekend, but it got blocked like 2 hours later by a judge. He tried to push forward like the Aliens Act that we used to like intern Japanese nationals during World War II. Because he thinks we're at war with some gang in Venezuela, which is just the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
What's that saying? Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, I wish.
Some of the shit I just don't really want to know. Yeah.
You've chosen poorly among your friends in that case.
I know. Yeah, it's good though. Can't bury your head in the sand and hope it's all right.
Yeah. Are we not? No, Popcorn, we're not. Well, not really. I mean, people might say that we are, but no, we're not at war with a gang from South America. It's ridiculous.
Not yet.
Not ever. We're the fucking United States.
Yeah. Mm.
Pubi said it was okay because Kamala was going to spend money. We didn't have any good candidates. The government's falling apart. We need a reset. I'm not going to get into it. Yeah, it doesn't look like there was any really bad news over the weekend, though. Besides attacking a sovereign nation with missiles. But that's just a usual U.S. weekend.
Oh yeah, and we have FOMC on Wednesday. Interesting.
Yeah, we have FOMC Wednesday. We got retail sales Monday. Then like a bunch of like, I think we have like import-export prices are important. Those will matter for GDP, production capacity. That'll be important. But then like just housing data for the rest of the week, which nobody gives a flying fuck about because the housing market's already dog shit and hasn't done anything. Unless there's like a substantial drop in, building permits or housing starts. But they're expected to just fall a little bit. So, I mean, I could see it being down a lot because who the fuck's going to be trying to build houses when we've got, a trade war going on with our largest lumber supplier?
Yeah,
I can see that data getting a lot worse in the next 6 months.
Yeah, but we're gonna cut down all our national parks, so it's fine.
Yeah, I want a redwood mansion.
Ooh.
Yeah, like I want them to chop down one redwood tree and then build my mansion in the top of another redwood tree using the lumber from the initial redwood tree. 2 for 1.
So you want a tree house?
Yeah,
is what I'm gathering.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah.
They could chop the top off of the tree and then like hollow out the middle, and that's where my pool could be.
All right, I was a little sus at first, but now I'm fucking in.
Yeah. Imagine
pool?
Yeah, imagine the zen. Just imagine how much zen in your tree pool with an infinity edge and a water fountain that pours down behind your office.
That'd be pretty nice.
Peak zen.
Well, seems like Bull's got to pump this shit over DN by Wednesday or get fucked.
Yep.
That's my takeaway.
It's a little bit more than DN. They need to get it up like 2.5% to 5% before OPEX. Well, before the AM expiry completely erodes all of the positioning they're using to pump. So charm is really bad right here. All of the sold puts are still in the money, and as the week advances, that's going to provide more and more downside pressure as the delta on those positions moves closer to 1. So yeah, they're racing against the clock a little bit. See if they beat it.
Yeah.
They've done it in the past. They've definitely beat it in the past. But then also, when we hit the expiration, what's going to happen, because all of that shit's going to expire, and if it is out of the money, it's no longer going to be supportive to price. So then they've not only do we need to see what happens into the expiration, but we need to see if they reposition bullishly following the expiration, which they may not do. And in that case, we're in the same situation, but with no support to the downside. So yeah, tricky week. I don't know. I'm just gonna trade the intraday. Goes up, I go calls, down puts. It seems like the best way to handle this right now. I'm definitely not gonna sell anything this week. On the option side. Great advice. Yeah, I know. Or buy a strangle and lose money on both legs. Just have the week close completely flat. Actually, that's perfect. Just open, test DN, and then trade flat at DN all week. That would be bearish, though. I guess I'm the only one who's going to make a prediction this week. And I was overly bullish last week. I guess we can run into FOMC. And then we'll see what happens. I'll just close the week flat right there. Boom. I did it. I made a prediction for this week. Do you want to make one?
Nice.
Or do you just want to keep your...
Bowers. Jason Bauer says, we know nukes is straight to 0.
Still? You're holding on to that one?
Nah, I don't think so, honestly. Okay. Like, looking at the data in Gamma Strike, like, they need to pump this shit over 5,700 at least.
Yeah, I mean,
I think very quickly.
I think they actually need to pump it just slightly over 5,900.
Oh shit! Well, that's. I'm not looking far enough ahead then. Holy shit! Yeah. What's
I think
what's DN at 5,900?
I think Dork won, but I don't know. I think he just projected flat on delta neutral for the entire week. So he almost won. Maybe my upside expectation should be a little higher. No. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that.
I'll try a prediction. It's probably going to be wrong.
All right.
I'm nervous. Okay.
Give it to me.
I think tomorrow close at 57.30.
Okay.
And then before Wednesday, we hit 58.45.
Ooh.
Small pullback into Thursday. And a DN test. We'll say like 59.15 on Friday.
Okay, so slight pullback and then 59.15 Friday.
Yeah.
All right. I will make yours baby blue.
I feel like it's that or get fucked. Like there's
Yeah, I mean, FOMC
I
is
don't know.
probably going to be important as to how SLD turns out. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty reasonable. I think SLD, because we're so far below GN DN. I think SLD is just going to be like a little bearish no matter what if we don't regain, like if we don't hit like 5,900 tomorrow or
Yeah.
like Tuesday close. I think it's going to be. I think it's, you know what, actually that might be the that's tough. I feel like 3% to the upside is extreme enough, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's got to be like 3% a day for 2 days. Hmm. See, now I want to be like a little more bullish in the early part of the week, but like still bearish in the back half. Like that.
I feel like that's the opportune time, right? Before FOMC. Try to pump as hard as you fucking can. And if
Yeah.
that's a wild card, then from there it's just arrow up or arrow down. I was looking at the weekly contract. Yeah. Well, that's why I don't do this.
Gex flip around 5,900. Yeah. I mean, if we move up really hard, DN and GN on the weekly will probably fall pretty quickly. It's like if we move up really hard tomorrow. I mean, these are also last week's values. I didn't update them, but like right now, I think they dropped. Yeah, like DN and GN both dropped pretty hard. So like DN's at 5,900 on the weekly now. Gamma neutral's at like 5,937. So both of those fell really hard into Friday's close. And also VN is dropping really, really fast. So there's a lot of short vol coming in. But it's short dated, right? If you look at the SPX chain, it's not nearly as bullish. Like these are coming
Yeah.
down a little, but not nearly with the same aggressiveness that we're seeing on the weekly chain. So it's just a lot of like really short dated positioning, which means it could fizzle pretty quickly.
Yeah. I wonder if 5850 is going to be an inflection point.
Well, it's a fairly significant technical level to the upside. Like 58.32 is the Jan low.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an important level. But we have a few. We have a few important levels. Like we still have the 5650 like 50-week moving average. And then if we go out on the daily, I think we have the 200 MA right around 5750. That'll be important too. That's a big, like the 200 MA is like a big systematic test. If we fail that, like it's going to be really hard to pick up any CTAs to the upside. It's more important for ES than it is on SPX. But like we need to get back above 5,800 so we can get some of those systematic buyers to drive further upside. But we've almost turned around. Yeah, I also don't like that Friday closed at a slightly lower high than the middle of the week. A lot of this is still just weak looking. Like I'm worried it's
Yeah.
not like I expect bulls to do a thing, but I'm worried that that's not going to be strong enough.
Yeah. Yeah. There hasn't been a lot of support willing to come in at really any level except Friday. And we saw the short vol kind of start to pile in and had some buyers, at least on ES, it looked like it. Had a little bit of support.
Can we do a popcorn line? 6K Wednesday, 2,600 Friday.
I like that.
What characteristics point to this becoming more of a crash versus a correction? This isn't a crash yet. To get crash behavior, we need to fall below 5,000 right now. Like a 5,100 to 4,900 range needs to get breached. How to
I have
drive
a
more
bias.
upside when all the money is going to European defense stocks? It's fair. But they'll still use our chips. So, yeah, what's your bias?
There can't be too many bot puts if we were to crash.
Yeah,
Crashes just have to catch everybody off
there
guard.
aren't a
But there
lot
are
of
too
bot
many
puts right now. Skew's really low.
are not.
There are not.
Hmm.
Oh, where's Skew? Skew disappeared. I might have deleted that by accident. Oops. Yeah, but Skew's low. Skew's like, Skew's at like 130 right now. So out of the money put hedgings, or out of the money puts are pretty low right now.
Change my prediction. Straight to 0. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't have much to add because I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
there's no signal or piece of data or anything I can latch onto to be like, yes, this is telling me something. It's kind of a fucking coin flip right now. And I do believe, though, that if there is an attempt at a recovery and that recovery fails, it will be spectacular. Because now everybody's chomping at the bit, like, okay, well, vol's down. I can hedge the downside. And given how fast and crazy some of the days were, I feel like people may be more eager for downside protection.
My QQQ indicator, the ultimate market signal, still says bear.
Yeah. But how close to bull? That's important.
Well, if we go down to the 4-hour, still bear. Down to the 1-hour, slightly bullish. But still bear.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to come down to early part of the week. I think it's going to be very telling.
Yeah.
Open tomorrow, and
we don't have good strong technical signals anywhere here. It all looks like dog shit.
Yeah, kind of a crapshoot.
Yeah, I mean, if we were higher, then yeah, but it's still too soon to tell. If we close the week out above delta neutral, I'd be a lot more confident in a reversal. But we had the crime strike on Friday, so
yeah. Did we talk about that void close?
The void
I won
close?
that one.
Yeah.
That was odd.
Well, I mean, if there's no strike, then it's just the best place in the market maker to close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you just gotta wait. I don't like the way BTC looks over the weekend.
Why?
I
Because I was eyeballing that. What do you think?
I mean, I think it lost 89,000, so it's just dog shit forever now, in my mind. Like, so many people bought over 89K, and they're all just going to keep getting shaken out under 89K because their confidence is in the toilet. Imagine all the people that bought over 100K, like Michael Saylor.
Yeah. Feels bad. Feels bad.
Also, BTC hasn't tested my downside level yet, which is 69,000. So
yeah, that's where I'm waiting for.
Yeah,
around 70, where a lot of that consolidation took place in Feb and, well, pretty much almost all of 2024.
It'll be. I mean, I'll pick BTC back up at like 15.
I'll go degenerately long on leaps at 15. Hey, Nuke, what are you buying?
Well, now, yeah, now you can just buy options on BTC ETFs.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yeah, that one will be interesting.
Yeah, 44 will be an important test.
On like iBet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching
No,
that.
44,000 on BTC. If that fails, I think like just slips back into like a year-long bear market again. Year and a half. 1,000 or just 15? No, 15K. Losing 89, like 164 was so bad. And then it failed it again on the retest, which was also really bad.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I've had my Bitcoin DCA off for a very long time. Might have to fire that fucker up again.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end this because I got other
Yeah,
shit to do
that's
today.
good.
But
Yeah,
thanks for staying on and keeping me company after Dork and Jfresh left me abandoned,
yeah, no problem, man.
and then Dork re-abandoned me.
It's
Unbelievable.
okay. I'm always here for you.
I know.
All right, cool.
All right, man. I'll catch you later. Thanks for coming
Yep,
on.
talk to you later, man. Yep.
Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up on the Discord. I should be around for most of the rest of the day. Not too much to do. So, yeah, if there was anything I didn't get to or didn't get a chance to cover, but be cautious this week. That would be my position. Is be cautious of major resistance levels. The potential for failure remains very high, but bulls do seem to be trying to get some support here. So probably a little bullish over the next couple of days, but just pay very close attention to those major resistances because if they fail, they can fail spectacularly. And I think that'll get you through the week without blowing up your port at least. And then we'll see what comes middle of the week with FOMC. The expectation is going to be no rate cut though. What do we save by not having settled cash until Wednesday? Yeah, then you're going to blow up your port on Wednesday. Right before you're gonna blow up your port before FOMC, huh? On the chop. No, I would never wish that on you, Blue Bananas. I hope you end the weekend end the week up 100%. Probably, I mean, if we don't move up hard tomorrow, we're probably just gonna stagnate a lot until FOMC because that's generally how it goes. Challenge accepted. Nice. All right. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.